One. So we're recording. Looking at our agenda, I wanted to defend some things that we're going to start doing here with an explanation of the AP exam. And now stuff is really slow. So I need to, what else do I need to do? Can you hear me all right? I know I'm kind of trailing off, mumbling a little bit. Do I need to microphone myself up? No, we're okay. Okay. There it is. Present now. And yeah, I want the Chrome tab. And we'll go there, and we'll go there. Okay. So last time, I probably kind of made your head explode thinking about your summer reading text and how that might fit into some sort of overall research project and so on and so forth. And just about every year, well, just about every year for a period of maybe 5 years. When I first started teaching AP Lit, we had a principal who kind of challenged the idea of summer reading. And the defense was in the AP exam. And I'm going to show that, we're going to look at that to be able to kind of understand that and why we do extra reading outside of the ordinary track of the course. If at any point you've got questions that come up as we're kind of looking at this stuff that's related to the AP exam, go ahead and pop it into the chat box, or feel free to unmute yourself if that will work for you, and say, yeah, I've got a question. I may have my back turned to you. I may be involved with, I don't know what's going on my other screen, but feel free to ask questions. Always feel free to ask questions. So I want to show you first, and I need to share the tab. You'll see here that I'm looking for AP English Literature exam. And right away, AP Central shows up. And so I'm going to click that. Such good speed. Yes. There it is. And so please notice, I did not have to do any kind of login here. Okay. So this is something that is accessible to you as well. All right. And where to go? Man. Oh boy. And I think it's because I'm trying to record. I don't know. I'm going to close that at least. Close one of my tabs. Maybe that'll help. What? Oh, come on. I must have. See, and now it's making a liar out of me. Isn't it? Going back. It should be accessible to you. AP Central, College Board. If they've gone and changed things, I think you have the right to complain. You have the right to complain under those circumstances. Because for the curious, ambitious student, this is a valuable resource. And you are curious, ambitious students. Otherwise, you would not be taking AP. Okay, I didn't log in. I want you to. No. Oh. Profanity. Oh, cuss. How many of you know Fantastic Mr. Fox? Has everybody seen that movie? One of the best movies of all time. This is ridiculous. Wow. All right, well, let's try AP Student. Because that was one of our options. So many things wrong with this. But I don't want to go there. I almost refuse to do it. I'm going to try this instead. Past exam questions. Ah. Oh, wow. Feel like I'm in Thor Ragnarok too. Get help. Get help. If you don't know Fantastic Mr. Fox, you probably know that, right? So I'm trying AP students about the exam, exam duration. Okay. Oh, seriously? Huh. And I think, yeah, no, I don't know, man. Who knows? It could. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's no good either, though, because the more I can see, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, this is so frustrating. Um, and what's more frustrating is this other business. So I've signed out, and so maybe that will actually be useful to us. So I'm going to try the AP Central one more time. So let me try that. Maybe it won't make me do this now that I've signed out, because I tried to sign into AP Classroom to see who still needs to sign up for AP Classroom. Some of you still need to sign up for AP Classroom. There's only like 20 some of you signed up, and we've got 30 some of us. So sign up for AP Classroom. Okay, so It's not making me log in. It's not making me sign in. Please notice that. Even though you're probably thinking, yeah, that's a lie. So note at the very top, am I still sharing the screen? No, I'm not sharing the screen. Okay. Oh boy. Patience. It's all about patience. Our very survival depends upon patience and having patience and trying to roll with it. Has it shown up yet? Am I still stalling? Is it slow? Do you see a screen? No, you don't see it. Okay. And ultimately, maybe I just need to stop the recording. And I've got a little window message. Here it comes. You're presenting your screen. Yay. All right. So please note 2021 AP exams will cover the full content in each course, giving students the opportunity to receive college credit and placement. Given the uncertainties of the 2021 school year, some students may feel unsure about taking AP exams in May. And then they say that there won't be a fee if you decide not to test or to cancel your exam. It doesn't make sense for you to not test or cancel the exam. There's something about state of Indiana and an English class, an AP, that English is the exam fee is covered, and so you should give it a shot regardless. My daughter, in fact, who went to school in Niles and is now in college, had earned a 3 on the AP Lang exam. And even though she did not take AP Lit her senior year, she's a well-read student. And given the level of achievement that she earned on AP Lang, I thought it really could not hurt for her to take the AP Lit test. And I was willing to pay the fee and the late registration fee because we kind of decided that late in second semester, prior to the fourth quarter, but still it was, we were making plans about what rosters needed to look like and so on and so forth. Her high school would not allow her to take the test. I think there was a fear on their part that she would somehow pull down school scores because she had not actually taken the exam. Mr. Hall said that she could take it with my students, and so we had arranged for that, and she ended up, like you, who maybe took AP Lang, ended up having to test from home with the single essay question. She also earned a 3 on the AP Lit test. And while there are a number of schools who will not provide credit for both AP Lang and AP Lit, unless the AP Lit score is significantly higher, her school did give her credit for both AP Lang and AP Lit. And even though she only earned 3 on both, so it's worthwhile. It's worth taking the test. I have confidence that, if you do your best and, you stay with us throughout, that you're going to do well on the AP exam. So keep that in mind. I would not recommend withdrawing from the exam. It will be a full exam, though. It will be full multiple choice and 3 essays that you'll have to write for the exam. Colleges and universities, last year, because of the unprecedented quality of kind of the end of the year, said, yeah, we'll be okay with that single essay. But next year, you better find a way to be able to deliver the full exam to those students, regardless of what happens. And so that is something that College Board is throwing a lot of resources into right now. So looking at the exam, AP English Literature course and exam description, Okay. So again, I did not sign in. I ended up actually having to sign out in order to be able to provide you with the access to this so that I didn't have to sign in. This is the new curriculum that was developed over a number of years. And I think it was over the span of a decade, to be honest with you, because there had been talk about this for a significant period of time. So you have access to this course and exam description. There are sample exam questions in here. This was effective fall 2020, but we still have not actually taken a full test that comes from this new curriculum. So this spring will be interesting. Scrolling down a little bit, because we're looking for specifically the exam overview, which is on page 135. 124. There we go. So on page 135, they do a nice breakdown of the exam for us. Like AP Lang, for those of you who are familiar with it, it's broken up into a multiple choice section and a free response question section. You have 1 hour to answer 55 multiple choice questions, and those multiple choice questions weigh 45% of the converted score. And then your free response questions, there are 3 of those. You have 2 hours to answer 3 of those, 40 minutes recommended per essay. And that weighs 55% of the converted AP score. Question 1 is poetry analysis, and that is worth 6 points. Question 2 is a prose fiction analysis. So that's usually a piece from a longer work of fiction. Occasionally it has been a drama. And the poetry section actually has been Shakespeare in the past as well. And so that might be from a longer drama. Or it could be from an epic poem, so that it could be from a longer piece. Usually it's a single complete poem. The prose fiction analysis has rarely been a complete short story. And then the third question, the literary argument, is the one that we can most easily prepare for the AP exam. But I just want to kind of show you a few other details about the exam before we look at that particularly. So 6 big ideas for the course, and these are things that you've kind of been studying throughout your English career, your language arts career. Character, setting, structure, the structure of kind of the story and poetry, narration, figurative language, and literary argumentation. And then they give kind of a breakdown that short fiction for the multiple choice and the essay, because it's branches off into the 2. Short fiction, 42 to 49% of the exam. And it's kind of misleading, because again, the short fiction typically comes from longer works. And so if you think about how carefully and closely you can look at a passage, a single passage from a work of fiction, a longer work of fiction, that's kind of what they're talking about there. And then poetry, 36 to 45%, and then longer fiction or drama, 15 to 18%. So even though we're reading a lot of longer fiction in here, that's maybe more than 15 to 18% of our course and what we're doing, we're actually going to look at shorter passages of that longer fiction or drama. So truly it is going to be 42 to 49%. And the amount of time that we spend on poetry is the equivalent of approximately 36 to 45%. I've not done like an actual look at those percentages, but we're pretty close. Student learning is assessed. Explain the function of character. So this is for the multiple choice. How does the character function within the short story? And we're going to have some video assistance from College Board, some other College Board trainers, AP trainers, who will talk about character, function of character and setting, plot and structure, and function of narrator or speaker. Lots of video will be available to us, supplementary material. I don't know that I would ever make it like a requirement that you watch that stuff. Certainly recommended, though, as I provide a lot of supplementary things for you. Explain the function of setting, explain the function of plot and structure, function of narrator or speaker, which sometimes ties into character, so that's something to keep in mind. Explain the function of word choice, imagery, and symbols. Explain the function of comparison, and develop textually substantiated arguments about interpretations of part or all of a text. And so that 10 to 13% is that those are your essays. Multiple choice section will include 5 sets of 8 to 13 questions per set, and they tend to kind of make it balanced between the fiction and the poetry, and they try to strike a balance between 20th century literature and beyond, so 20th and 21st century literature, and literature that precedes the 20th century. The multiple choice is of varying difficulty, as are the passages that you are asked to write about, the poetry and the prose that you're asked to write about. Again, in terms of the actual exam itself, there's no clear sense for the common man, the layman, the non-College Board person, as to how scores will translate, how a raw score will be converted to your final overall AP score from 1 through 5. And that uncertainty is because the new test has not quite been given yet. And there are new elements to the essays that have not kind of been factored in yet. Each of the 3 essays previously were on a 9-point scale. And now they're on a 1-4-1 scale, a 1 point or 0 for thesis, a 0 through 4 points for commentary and what's the other word? Commentary and evidence and commentary, and then a 0-1 for a sophistication point. That sophistication point is not something that we can necessarily kind of prepare for. It's something that we certainly will work for, and I'll encourage you to work for. But our main focus is going to be on that evidence and commentary, that 0 through 4 for that. I had a student who did surprisingly poor, and he reached out to me and said, do you have a sense of what happened? And I looked at his response, and I said, this does not look right. And we had, through the month of July, if a student reached out, we could have kind of requested an adjudication. And since I'm a scorer on the exam, I actually reached out to College Board and I said, I want you to relook at kind of these moments in his body paragraphs, and look very closely at the line of reasoning that exists here. And I think the student earned a better score than what he was given. But even then, there was an uncertainty because of the lack of clarity regarding how a raw score converted into the final exam score. So what happens after all scoring has occurred, after the multiple choice scoring has been run through, and after all of the essays have been scored, there's what's referred to as psychometrics. They bring in new people to then look at kind of different representations of different kinds of scores. And they look at the difficulty levels of different passages, difficulty levels of different questions, and then that is how they come up with a converted score. It's a pretty tedious process, from what I understand. For those of you who take AP Stats and AP Psych and love both, there may be a position for you at College Board under those circumstances. So, there's a career in that sort of thing, especially given our heaviness on testing. So, do you have any questions so far at this point? It's a complicated process. And they somehow measure accuracy as an essay scorer is kind of scoring their essays. That process was a little bit different this past year with the single essay. So all essays were read twice this year. And there was kind of a baseline, and there were some essays that were read more than twice this year. And if a scorer was like more than 1 point off on the 6-point scale, and so for example, if someone else read an essay and gave it a 6, and I read that same essay and gave it a 4, then that particular essay and the two of us as readers were kind of red flagged. And if that happened a lot, so if I was like reading the same essays as another scorer, and we were more than one away from each other several times, one of us or both of us would get sent back to retrain and rescore, and kind of recalibrate in terms of our scoring. I did participate in, and I think I've told you guys this, in what was it called? Pilot scoring with the new rubric in January. And that was, my invitation was based on my previous accuracy in the 3 years that I had scored prior to this past year, and my speed. And I think they selected me because I tend to be slow. So the free response questions, poetry analysis, and we'll look more carefully at that when we actually get into poetry. Prose fiction analysis, and we're actually that will be one of the first prompts that we really look at carefully this year. And you guys are going to be invited to design both a poetry analysis prompt and a prose analysis prompt for yourselves to respond to. And we're kind of excited about that. We're frequently happy with kind of the results of that. And then the third question, and so this is, and there is now new stable prompt wording. This language will not change until they revise the curriculum and exam description. So this is new language, and it has not existed, yikes, on an AP exam yet. This has not been seen on an actual AP exam yet, because this was not the question that students were given last year. So free response question 3 presents students with a literary concept or idea, along with a list of approximately 40 literary works. Students are required to select a work of prose fiction either from their own reading or from the provided list, and analyze how the literary concept or idea described in the question contributes to an interpretation of the work as a whole. This question assesses students' ability to do the following, and this language exists for the other 2 essay prompts as well. Respond to the prompt with a thesis that presents an interpretation and may establish a line of reasoning. That point is a very generous point. that it's a generous point. I'm going to tell you that right now. More often than not, they will give the thesis point if you've got something that begins to talk about, both the prompt and the text. I may be a little harsher than they will be throughout the course of the year, but I want you to get it and to be there and have it. Select and use evidence to develop and support the line of reasoning, and that line of reasoning is crucial to the distinction between a 2 and a 3 on that 4-point scale of the evidence and commentary. And so if a student only earns a 1 and a 2 on thesis and evidence and commentary, I don't know that translates into a successful score, a passing score, a 3 or above. That use of the language of passing score is not language that College Board really uses anymore. So it's I shouldn't talk about that. Sorry. Explain the relationship between the evidence and the thesis. So that 2 goes into the evidence and commentary, and then use appropriate grammar and punctuation in communicating the argument. So then they give a sample question. Many works of literature feature characters who have been given a literal or figurative gift. The gift may be an object, or it may be a quality such as uncommon beauty, significant social position, great mental or imaginative faculties, or extraordinary physical powers. Yet this gift is often also a burden or a handicap, either from your own reading or from the list below. And so it's your own reading business that's key to why we still do both summer reading, and I ask you to do independent reading work. Many of you, this may be the first year in a long time that you've actually read the fiction that you're being asked to read. Yikes. So that it's the from your own reading business that we want to pay attention to here. Choose a work of fiction in which a character has been given a gift that is both an advantage and a problem. Then in a well-written essay, analyze how the gift and its complex nature contribute to an interpretation of the work as a whole. Do not merely summarize the plot. And so this language is important too, the interpretation of the work as a whole. What does that mean? And that goes back to an idea of what does it mean? What is the meaning of the work as a whole? What's the meaning of what the author says? And so you might think of kind of your task for Walker Percy. What is the interpretation that you have of what Walker Percy says in The Loss of the Creature? So I want to take a look back at the old language to kind of show why. And so we need to look at, and so we're going to look at the same prompt, but using the old language. And you actually have access to this as well, to the old prompts and the old language and sample responses for the past, I want to say at least 8 years, if it'll open. There we go. So we're going to look at 2018's, because that was the prompt that we were just looking at, but it's their old language. It's the old language. Patience. Come on. Man, this is... Okay. All right. Deep breath. Calm down. One, two, three. Okay, so many works of literature feature characters who have been given a literal or figurative gift, so that part of the language stayed the same. A gift may be an object, it may be a quality, such as uncommon beauty, significant social position, great mental or imaginative faculties, or extraordinary physical powers. Yet, this gift is often also a burden or a handicap. Select a character from a novel, epic, or play who's been given a gift that is both an advantage and a problem. Then write a well-developed essay analyzing the complex nature of the gift and how the gift contributes to the meaning of the work as a whole. And so that meaning of the work as a whole business has kind of changed. There are some subtle differences that are not reflected by the stable prompt language. But here's the kicker. This is where it really comes in. Why we're doing what we're doing, why we're doing this project, why I asked you to read something over the course of the summer. You may choose a work from the list below or another work of comparable literary merit. Do not merely summarize the plot. So if we look at these titles, I see one, that you've read or may have read in your high school career. Did you read Frankenstein last year? Did anybody read Frankenstein last year? Some of you, yes. How many as a sophomore? Any sophomores read that? No? Okay. So Frankenstein's the only one that I can tell based on what I know. So, Frankenstein, that's the only one, right? So we're looking at this list. What frequently happens, okay, this is a high stakes testing scenario. And I'm talking, and yes, I know, thank you. Yes, my microphone is off, and I'm talking, and oh boy. I'm glad I quit smoking a long time ago. This is enough to make me start again. Anyway, in the building, even. So the Frankenstein's the only one. There may be others that you've read, certainly, maybe in your own free time. And I know, like Mr. O'Malley likes to kind of take some things from what has been offered at the high school level and says, okay, so we're going to do this project and you're going to read this and what have you. I know this happens. So there may be other texts in here that you've read. But how fresh are they? So the concern is, under the circumstances that you're in the high stakes testing situation and you're reading your prompt, and then you may choose a work from the list below and you read through the list, and Frankenstein's the only one I know. But you can't write to Frankenstein because what gift? What are the gifts that have been given? I can't come up with, no, that's not going to, so what do? And so the idea is that by having more novels and plays that you've read over the course of the year that are fresh in your mind, that when you see that period, when you see, oh, and I'm not even sharing my screen again. Awesome. This is so many levels of awesome. Katie's just laughing at me. Screen's not sharing. It's still not sharing. Come on, screen. Still waiting. Circle of death. Oh, we'll wait. And I gotta say, it must be the Screencastify. Here it comes. So now I'm presenting my screen. So the idea is that you get to this final sentence of the prompt, and the new language is now an interpretation of the work as a whole. You see that, and you cover up that list. Don't pay attention to the list. Think about, okay, so what have I read that's fresh that has these characters or this particular character with this gift? For those of you who are familiar with Raiders of the Lost Ark, you want to treat that list as if it's the Nazis opening the Ark, and your face will melt off. Okay? You want to hear Indiana Jones shouting at Marion, "Shut your eyes, Marion! Don't look!" Okay? You want that to be happening. Don't look at that list. Who are the characters that you can speak to that have this gift? And so thinking about kind of what we're going to read this year, it's a beautiful thing that I see The Tempest. We're going to read The Tempest. We are going to read Beowulf, although Beowulf will not be listed anymore. There are texts that have been translated. They will no longer recommend translated texts. However, that does not mean that you can't write about translated texts. Okay. And so you're not going to see the Iliad or the Odyssey or the Aeneid. And so the Aeneid is on there and the Iliad is on there. Odyssey is not on there, but like I said, Beowulf is. So those, because they're translated works, will not appear on the AP exam anymore. That doesn't mean that you cannot write about them. So that's why they're also going with this new language, either a work that you have read or studied on your own or from the list below. They've taken out this language of literary merit. Okay. So it's a truly wide open kind of scenario. Don't look at the list. Cover up the list when you get to the end of the prompt. So that's why we're reading a lot of pieces independently over the course of the year, both summer reading and these 4 other pieces, and working, pretty carefully with them, and building an argument for, how they kind of work together and collaborate together. So that's our rationale. That's what's going on here. And man, I got to find out what is going on with Screencastify and my ability to look at screens with you and be able to talk to you. So there are 5 minutes left. Do you have questions about the AP exam overall? And chat is probably going to be the best way to do it. And while you're doing that, I'm going to scroll down on the agenda, which I'm not sharing with you, but I'm about to try to share again. So talks a little bit about I've got some bolded text on the agenda, um, and then so that's what we're doing and why we're doing it. Um, so we've got this bolded text here. Oh, and the annotated bibs. So one of the reasons that we're kind of working with annotated bibs as well, that's a preparatory sort of thing for college. Not everybody's going to have to do an annotated bib in college. Not everybody's going to have to be familiar with what an annotated bib is in college. But I don't want you to reach that class where it is going to be required for you, and have you, go, Mr. Coffee, I don't know what an annotated bib is. Mr. Coffee failed me. I don't even know where to begin with that. And so you're going to get some experience working with the creation of annotated bibliographies. So thinking about that document that I gave you last time, and you're going to skip over letter C. We're not going to worry about letter C. We don't have the time for that today. And actually, we're probably not going to be able to get to that because our next class period is a virtual day. Don't forget that. There will be no class meeting on Thursday. Okay? No class meeting on Thursday. So don't try to sign in and go, I can't get into the meeting. Duh. There's no class meeting on Thursday. So looking at this document, and so I think what I'm going to have you doing on Thursday is kind of completing this piece, especially now that there's only 2 minutes left. Oh boy. And I think I just recently said to some parents and friends of mine who are parents and colleagues like in other states who are just going back today, expect your technology to go awry. Expect it every day. At least one thing is going to go wrong. And here I am getting mad about it. There's nothing we can do. So, certainly be working on the Walker Percy, and I give you some other things to kind of be working within our agenda today. But there's another chunk here. After you've looked at some existing courses, think about ideas you might have for creation of a course that would interest you. And so there's a link to English courses that are offered at a variety of colleges and universities. I want you to take advantage of. You'll do that on Thursday, and I think you're going to finish this up on Thursday as well. But so you'll look at those courses, kind of make a list of courses that you'd be interested in, and or kind of where your summer reading might fit in, and that'll be that. So Thursday. Yeah, that's something I still need to work on in terms of the agenda that I'm going to be making for you, and I've got to be flexible in my plans as a consequence of technology type issues that I'm having right now. If there are no questions, it's 9:19, and I'm going to let you go early because I just want to have a nervous breakdown. So, okay. So you're free to go if you don't have anything. Bye. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming.